Welcome back. You're probably tired of variables by now, so we're going to move on to something a little different, something called conditional statements or if-then statements. And before we begin, I'm going to tell you that you do need to know about variables for this topic. So if you haven't seen the 3 videos that I made about variables, definitely check them out. Try to understand how variables work, what the different types are and what the types represent. How to add, subtract them, how to put values into them. We'll be using a lot of those concepts in this video, and I won't really go into much detail because I already have in those videos. So definitely check those out if you haven't seen them yet. Okay, let's begin. What are if-then statements? Well, if-then statements are kind of what they sound like. You ask Scar if this part of something you tell it is true. If this is true, then do something. So we're going to see how that works, and we're actually going to use an example right away. I think that would make it a little bit easier to explain if you see an example first. So we're gonna declare one variable called a, and it will be a boolean. A boolean, remember, a boolean is true or false. So a can either be true or false. It's a variable, and when in the script, in the actual main loop, begin and end, we're actually going to give it a value. We're going to say a is true. So a will start off as true. Now what we're going to do is going to ask Scar, if a is true, then write that a is true. So to do that, we're going to use 2 keywords, if and then. So you start off with if, see how it turns bold? Alright, then you use a parenthesis. Always remember to use a parenthesis between if and then. And here we give it some statement, like a condition that it has to validate, has to say is this true or false. So we're going to say, is a equal to true? Does a have the value of true? Okay, and then we're going to say then. So if this statement is true, if a equals true, if a contains the value true, then we're going to do something, and we do this by saying begin, and here, and then we end it with end. And notice how we use a semicolon, not a dot. A dot is only for the last end. So between here, we can have as many things as we want. We can say, right line, a is true, right line, yay. We can do as many things as we want between begin and end. So if a is true, we'll do all this stuff. So let's try and run it. Let's see what happens. All right. So it's successfully compiled and it says a is true and yay. Now let's try it. What happens if we say that a is false? Let's say a is false. Now when we look through this statement, we ask, does a equal true? Is the value true inside a? And the answer is no. So it's false. If it's false, then it won't do this part. It only does this part if it's true. So let's run it and we'll see if anything happens. See, nothing happened because this statement is false. Scar doesn't do everything between here. It ignores it because this is false. Now we can also tell Scar, if this is true, then do something. But if it's not true, then do something else. And the way we do this is, instead of saying end, we say end else. Like do this, or else, if it's not true, then do something else. So and else, and you have another begin and end, and we say, let's say a is false, right line, no, okay, and now let's try run it. Let's see what happens. Alright, see, it says a is false, no. So what happened? Well, we set a to false, and then we told Scar, is a equal to true? Is the value inside a equal to true? And since it's not, then Scar skips this first part up to here, and it sees the else, and so it does whatever is after here. In this case, it writes this and then writes this. And we can do anything. We could tell it to wait. We can tell it to click something. Okay, so this is a pretty simple example, but we're going to go a little more in depth. You can actually use if statements with more than just booleans. You can use it with any other type. For example, we're going to try a few. We're going to try make a an integer. So it's a number, a positive or negative number that has no decimal points, and we're going to set it to 5. And we're going to say, is a equal to 5? And we'll say a is 5. Let's say that. A is not 5. Alright? So what we do here is ask SCAR, is the value inside a equal to 5? If it is, then we do this part. If it's not, then we do this. Alright? So in this case, it should be right? Because does a equal 5? Yes, it does. So it's true. That means we do the first thing. So let's see, let's run it. Let's see what happens. See? A is 5 and yay. And if we set a equals something else, let's say a equals 10, then it should be false. See? A is not 5. No. And we could do the same thing with strings. If a is a string and we say a is high, we can say, does a equal high? And if it is, then say a equals high and a is not high. Alright, let's run it. See, a is high because that's what it represents. If it wasn't high, it would do the second part. It would say a is not high and no. Alright, now let's go even deeper, a little deeper. Let's make this an integer, and I'll show you that you can actually use different kind of symbols for different inequalities. If you've taken algebra, or I don't know, if maybe even lower level math classes talk about inequalities. So there are 5 inequalities. We're gonna do them one by one. So let's do, the first one is this. Let's say if a is greater than 3, that means if the value inside a is greater than 3, then we say a is greater than 3. Okay. So a is greater than 3 if this is true. If it's not true, then a is less than or equal to 3, right? That's the opposite of a is greater than 3. So let's run it. Okay? A is greater than 3 because 5, the value inside a, is greater than 3. So this part is true. If this part is true, SCAR does this. If it's false, let's say if a was 3. Okay? Is 3 higher than 3? Is 3 greater than 3? No. It's not. It's equal to 3. So that's false. If it's false, then it does this part. See? A is not greater than 3. No. Another one we can use is less than. So less than is... Okay, so let's run this. Let's say... Let's clear. Hold on. Clear and run it. Okay, it says A is not greater than 3. No. Oh, we forgot to change this. Hold on, let's change it. Less than and less than. And let's clear run again. So, A is not less than 3. So A, in this case, is 3. Is 3, whatever, is A, which is 3, less than 3? No. 3 equals 3. So this is false. That means SCAR skips this first part and does the second part. And if we changed A to, say 2, 2 is less than 3, so SCAR should write this part. Let's see if it does. It does. A is less than 3. Yay. Because 2 is less than 3. Alright, the other two that we can use are less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. These are the other two that you can use. Greater than or equal to or less than equal to. And they're kind of like, they're like greater than or less than, except they also, they're also true if A is equal to this number. So remember in the last one we had A equals 3, and we said, and this was false, right? Because 3 is not less than 3. But if we had less than or equal to 3, then it would be true. See, A is less than or equal to 3. All right, A is less than or equal to 3 because A is 3. 3 is equal to 3, so that's part of the condition. That's true. So SCAR does this part. And same thing for greater than or equal to. It works the same way except in the opposite direction. And the last one that I'm going to show you is actually not equal to. This means not equal to. So this says A is not 3, and so A is 3. So this checks, is A not equal to 3? It's kind of hard to wrap your brain around it because it's kind of the opposite of what you would expect. But this says if A is not 3, then it's true. Then do this part. But if A is 3, then do this other part. That's the opposite. So A can either be not 3 or it can be 3. So let's run this and see. Well, let's clear it first. Okay. So A is 3 because A is 3, right? And we say, is A not equal to 3? So is A anything else but 3? And this is false. So Scar skips this part and it goes here, and A is 3. This is probably the hardest one to understand, so don't worry about it if you don't get it. So this video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to cut it short right here, and I'm going to pick up in the next video, and we're going to go a little deeper with this topic. Definitely practice with it. And whenever you write an if and then statement, try to give it a value and see if it's true or false, and then see what will happen, and then run it and see if it's true. That way you kind of learn how to read these statements to know what they mean. So have fun until the next video. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.